Introduce a great academic, a human rights observer, a union organiser, and one of the great supporters here in London of Julian Assange, Dr. Deepa Driver, who is now going to take the mic. Thanks, Deepa.
Thanks, Joe. And whenever I come to one of these vigils, activism events organised by the JADC, it always makes me feel as though there is hope for humanity in the midst of all the horror we see. Around us we can see the wonderful performance art that is the Yellow Ribbons for Assange, which is the gift of Truman. And there are so many people like Truman, like Maxine, like Emmy, like Jeannie, who's been organising the wonderful film showings, like Joe playing his music. There's so many people here who are doing wonderful things. And before I forget, I must thank Joel, who every time bakes this beautiful cake for us, and then Tonya, who gives us all the food that you're about to enjoy. But everybody doing their little bit, and that's what this is about. But before I start my speech, I just wanted to read out a little poem, which was from a book called The Guantanamo Diaries by Mohamedou Ould Slahi. Mohamedou spent 14 years in Guantanamo. He was sexually abused, he was tortured, he was treated in a very humiliating and degrading manner, amongst other things, kept in cold rooms without any warmth, shackled to the ground. And Mohamedou wrote his memoirs, and it took them 9 years to get it out of that prison. And Mohamedou, of course, spent 14 years without trial or charge. He had been kidnapped and taken to Guantanamo like many of the other detainees there, an innocent man. And he wrote this, he quotes this poem from an Iraqi poet called Ahmed Matar. I'm going to read it out to you. It's only a few lines, and I think it's specifically aimed today at those who work at Belmarsh and the police who stand with us, observing us today. And this is my message to you. I stood in my cell, wondering about my situation. Am I the prisoner, or is it that guard standing nearby? Between me and him stood a wall. In the wall there was a hole, through which I see light, and he sees darkness. Just like me, he has a wife, kids, a house. Just like me, he came here on orders from above. And I think the reason this poem felt so resonant to me was because, as a trade unionist, I recognize that the people who are working around us are not necessarily bad people themselves. They are doing their job. But as in those who were guarding Nelson Mandela at Robben Island, those who are guarding Julian Assange today can choose to be on the side of justice or choose to be treating those who are in here, in this prison, harshly. And this choice is one they make every day, every minute, in a context in which many people within this prison shouldn't be in there. They need medical care, they need psychiatric care, they need a social system that functions. And it is to these people that my speech today is addressed, and I'm not going to read it out. I'm just going to put my phone in front of me so that I don't forget some of the things I wanted to say to you. One of the things that Mohamedou says in his book is to maintain your dignity, You have to first respect the dignity of others. And it is this message I bring to those in this prison who stand guard over the world's most important political prisoner today, Julian Assange. Julian has suffered enormously in the last decade. His privileged legal conversations, his medical examinations were all repeatedly spied upon. His baby's nappy they tried to steal the nappy in order to test whether it was his baby. They would stop at nothing. They denied him due process when they deprived him citizenship, when he was kicked out of that embassy unceremoniously. It was on the back of an IMF loan. It was not on the back of judicial process in Ecuador. So when British Metropolitan Police officers went into that embassy, they were part of the problem. They were taking part in an illegal activity, illegal under international law. When Julian was treated in the way he was, dragged out, wearing a big beard because they wouldn't allow him his razor and made to look like some kind of weird stranger, it was a concerted plan. It was a concerted plan to destroy Julian. When you work here at Belmarsh, I presume you came here either because it was a job and you needed to pay your bills, or because you genuinely believed when you work for the police or when you work for the prison service, you are doing something for your community. You are doing something to make this world a better place. Is helping cover up war crimes, rape, murder, torture in Iraq and Afghanistan, 20 years of torture at Guantanamo Bay prison, is helping cover that up. What you chose to stand up to do. Is that what your duty is? And remember, that's what you do when you silence Julian Assange. That's what you do when you don't speak up about the day-to-day humiliation and indignities he suffers. Are you, instead of serving the community, guarding Priti Patel and Britain's shame, which resides in Belmarsh prison? If you are black, if you are working class, if you are of Middle Eastern origin and you work in this prison, I remind you that your brothers and sisters were being tortured and killed elsewhere in the world, and that is what Julian revealed. It is thanks to him that we have the name of 8-year-old Hanan Saleh Matrood, who was shot dead in the streets of Iraq by forces who should not have, who were giving her sweets the day before. These are also the same forces who killed a good Samaritan who went to pick up wounded people, and 2 Reuters journalists, Namir and Saeed, on the streets of Iraq when they were just walking around. And it is to cover up these crimes that Priti Patel and others seek to silence Julian Assange. It is to cover up Mike Pompeo's plan. Mike Pompeo, the CIA director who says, oh, the CIA lied, cheated, smeared, and he feels no shame at it. It is this war criminal whose crimes you are helping cover up. And I urge you today to blow the whistle when you see illegitimate activities taking place in Belmarsh. I urge you to speak up in ways that are safe for you, but to tell the truth, because it is up to ordinary people like you and me to tell the truth while Julian is silenced. We don't have the big ideas like WikiLeaks, but we have courage just like Julian does, and that courage is contagious. It is more contagious than COVID-19. I also ask you to think about whether when you hear about all these smears about this man, about whether these people who underpay and overwork you stand for you and the people of Britain, or whether it is this honest journalist who has told the truth about, corruption, where corporations want to sue governments in secret courts, where corruption in Kenya, where Arab Moi's government was causing all kinds of problems, whether it is sparking the Tunisian Arab Spring. These are the things that Julian does. This is the person you have behind those walls, and we urge you to treat him with care and with respect, because he stands on our side, on your side and mine, in defense of the people, because WikiLeaks has always been about one thing. It's not about money, it's not about prestige, it's about the public interest. And that's what matters, and that's what we must stand for the people. Thank you. Free Julian Assange!